Ladies and gentlemen, CEO Boardroom Table. Today we've got the titans around the table. We've got Andy Bounds, top UK sales trainer, and Peter Boolkah, global top business coach and owner of Visibility SEO Marketing, whose success is down to his marketing. Would you agree, Pete? A lot of your stuff that you do to become top coach has become because of your marketing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, a lot of people are good at what they do. They're just never, ever visible for what they do. And if you're not visible, you might as well just be dead.
Yeah. So today we're going to have a good discussion, a bit of a debate as well. I've told you all before we've come on this podcast. No holding back. This is marketing versus sales, and we have businesses that are out there that I hear it quite a lot, lads. It's like that's the marketing's fault. That's the marketing team's fault, or that's the sales team's fault. We're generating great leads, but the sales aren't closing them, or the sales team go, we're just not getting great leads. Andy, what's your experience? You work with a lot of corporates. What's your take on this marketing versus sales? What do you wish that marketing would be doing better to generate you guys some more sales?
I don't quite know if I see it like that. The word versus is an interesting one. I think it's better if it's marketing and sales working in perfect harmony so everyone's happy. I think in many walks of life, excuses are easy. So sales can say it's marketing's fault. Sales can also say there's a recession going on. No one's got any budget anymore. I've not been trained properly. But similarly, finance team can complain about X, Y, Z, and the HR team can complain about A, B, C. So it's very easy to find excuses with things. But one of the most important things with any group of people who are working together is that the communications are good between them. Yeah. So I was talking to a company yesterday who had a bit of a go at their marketing team. And I said, so could you help me understand, when have you sat down with your marketing team and told them exactly the outcomes you want from the marketing team? And there was total silence. And I said, well, maybe instead of making them guess, you could have a word about it. So if you get these things right and you communicate well, you should be fine. But it's rare, I find, when two parties are versus, using your word, Lewis, it's rare to find one party is 100% right and the other party is 0% right. It's a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, the verses is there to create some good content, because that's how it feels sometimes. A lot of the time that we're talking to them, these excuses are popping up. But absolutely, this has got to be a collaboration. Pete, what about you? What do you wish that the sales team were doing more when you were generating all these great leads?
It's not so much what the sales team would be sort of doing more. I think if you generate great marketing, the sales process becomes a lot easier. I mean, Andy, big fan of sort of the jelly effect and everything. But use the jelly effect in your actual marketing. Use it in the actual marketing. I mean, you're going to really hate me, Andy, but never mind. Such is life. I've actually got an Andy agent on my ChatGPT setup. And when we're looking at it and where we're getting inquiries coming through, we normally put the inquiry through that GPT and basically, okay, we're going to communicate back to them. What are the afters they're looking for? And because there's so much out there, because you've got so much out there, ChatGPT recognizes you. So I just use you as one of my marketing coaches, not sales, but marketing, so that we make the sales process a lot easier down the line.
Cool. Well, I don't hate you. I love that. My wife would love that too, because that is all the best bits of Andy Bounds without all the rubbish she has to tolerate. So that sounds quite cool.
So I just think,
go on, Pete.
Sorry, Lewis, I was just going to say, and I just think that today, the lines between sales and marketing are becoming forever increasingly blurred. But also, in today's day and age, you've got to be a hell of a lot more competent than you did 15 years ago, especially in this apathetic economy, where actually you're going to have to be on top of your game to get someone's money.
What do you mean it's becoming more blurred, Pete?
Well, I'll give you give you a great example. We're seeing a change in technology. So we're seeing a lot of actual sales conversation happen within Perplexity and ChatGPT. So actually, a lot of the hard work is done in what you publish way before you get to have the sales conversation. So by the time people come to me, they've already had their conversation with ChatGPT. ChatGPT has put me down as one of the recommendations of a person that can potentially solve their problem, and therefore the sales conversation becomes a very different conversation. It's becoming more of understanding what they're looking for, and like especially with services, is there a chemistry match instead of me trying to sell.
So what you're saying here is these customers are already ready to buy without actually speaking to a salesperson.
They're clear on what they want to buy without seeing the salesperson, because actually the big part of the sales process was already done with what you've published.
Mm-hmm.
It's
What's
an
your take on
interesting
this,
place
Andy?
to be.
What do you think, Andy? I mean, are you seeing this in the corporates that you work with and the SMEs, etc., that you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go back decades, marketing people did a huge amount of the communications, and that would sometimes be all that customers heard about them, and then the sales. But it's not like that anymore. You can do just nearly all the work you could ever do before you speak to the salesperson. And so I love this idea about being blurred. If you were starting a business now, you might not have a totally discrete marketing and a sales company if it hadn't grown up over time. Like, you used to need the differences, yeah, but now you don't necessarily need them. And you asked before about one of the challenges you can face is some marketers I've spoken to will ask questions like, did you like the campaign, or did you think the content was good? And I think, no. The question is, did it generate good leads for the sales team? You know, that's its purpose. Just as the salesperson's job is kind of obvious, like get the deal over the line and get money in, you know, the marketing person's job is maybe sometimes not as obvious, and it's trying to just make sure that everybody communicates properly, as I keep saying. I'm always interested when you get people who have different messages that marketing put out to what sales put out. Because if you're not careful, you don't have that alignment, you go, well, like Pete's put a brilliant thing out, and because of what Pete put out, that made me have a chat with the salesperson, and the salesperson said about something totally different. So you just have to be really careful to communicate. I'm going to carry on saying the word communication here if I'm not careful. Right. I'll stop this before it gets too boring.
Well, there's a bit of a clue in the success there, right? In the terminology. So if you think about it, then, Andy, if we was to sit in the seats of this marketing manager or marketing director, CMO, whatever we call it, what would be the sales director's dream of what the marketing should be doing?
It's all to do with leads, and it's to do with quality and quantity. So I want the right number of the right type of leads. And without trying to be too blunt, that's kind of it. If you speak to any salesperson, what they want is one or more of three things beginning with S. They want sales, speed, they want it as quick as they can, and smiling. It's nice if they can enjoy it while they're at it. So sales, speed, and smiling is pretty much all salespeople want. We're not very complicated as salespeople. If we get two or three of those three, we're fine. Now, marketing have a big role to play in helping us do all three, because if they get the right quality and the right quantity of leads, sales should go up. Clearly, if there's been a lot of qualifying out by good marketing, the speed should go up, and that makes the whole thing more enjoyable. So I want to give you a really insightful thing so people listening to this go, God, Andy Bounds is really clever. But if you give me the right quantity of the right quality leads, that'll do.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a bit of a case study. You've both worked with one of my businesses. I won't mention the name, but we've both worked with one of my businesses. Turnover is between 7 to 10 million, let's say, pounds, that is. So the guy who's the sales director, whenever he's speaking to marketing, Pete, and we got a marketing thing on. So you are an SEO company, works very well for what you've done. And your story here is that you built this SEO team. You're frustrated with SEO companies there because they just weren't giving you what you wanted. So you thought, fuck it, let's just build our own company instead. And now you're offering this service out to a lot of people. You've got a lot of coaches, a lot of mentors on board, and a lot of businesses as well. When I speak to my sales director, one of my companies, the first thing they will say is, Lewis, we just want marketing that is going to give us an ROI. When you hear that and they put more pressure onto you as a marketing company, what does that make you think? How do you react to that? Because obviously it's not just down to the marketing to create revenue. There's got to be a look in the mirror for the sales director as well, and what's expected of them.
Yeah, so Lewis,
you respond to it.
Yeah, Lewis, and you got to be clear. Whatever the marketing company is, whatever the channel is, what's the responsibility of the channel? So look, you take website traffic. What's websites all about? Websites is all about sort of ranking for keywords, key terms, and everything. It's about being visible. So when people are searching for something, you come up. That is the most important thing. So really, the holy grail is the top 3, first page of Google. Top 3, even better, but first page of Google. No one ever goes onto the second page of Google. I mean, it's often a joke in our industry that the best place to bury a dead body is on the second page of Google, because the only people that ever go onto Google on the second page are those that are either unemployed or bored, and neither are going to be spending money with you. But once they get onto your website and everything, then you've got to start looking at the behavior. What are they doing? Because people that come onto your website the first time around, they may not necessarily be in a buying position. They'll be in a research position. And when they come onto your website, if they're not leaving their details, you can't control the narrative. So you then start thinking, okay, well, what point of value, and Andy will probably have tons of stuff to add here, what points of value can we offer somebody at this stage where they will feel compelled to leave their details so we can continue the journey?
Yeah. And this is where I see a lot of constraints, right? Visibility, getting traffic. First of all, are they getting traffic onto that website? Because if there's no traffic, then you can't change anyone's mind.
Yep.
And then the end of the spectrum is that we need to have great salespeople that can remind them all the stuff that marketing's done, and have great sales behavior and the art of sales, to be able to follow up and make sure that they're going to commit to it. But there's a bit of a friction in the middle there as well, of like, well, if this doesn't generate a lead, it doesn't actually do the job for what Andy needs. So how do you match it in the middle of getting a lot of great traffic to now getting people that qualify as leads?
And I think that's where that's where I think Andy will say is communication. Is actually people should learn to treat, if they've got any outsourced marketing, the outsourced marketing team are not the enemy. Mm-hmm. They're part of the team. And actually, how do you work together?
Yeah.
How do you actually communicate in a way where you're both responsible for the results?
Right. That's interesting, because I see a lot of businesses blaming the outsourced marketing team when it should be teamwork and synergy, right? Yeah,
and it is actually, do you know what? I'm going to go back to what Andy said earlier. It's pitching. If you're going to communicate with the outside agency, the one thing that I've learned is if you don't pitch to the meeting saying exactly what you're thinking and saying it's all freaking okay, and you're not really being honest, and you're not having a deep conversation because you don't have the data, then that's pointless. You've got to own that. It's got to be, well, how do we help each other win? Not how do we blame the other person because we're not getting what we want, therefore it's their fault, so I can save my ass. Because that's what a lot of people do, is let me check my backside so I don't get fucking fired at the end of the day. When it's not, well, how do we build the business?
What's your take, Andy?
I like it. I'm just laughing. There are so many professions like that, actually, where when people pitch or whatever, they focus on the wrong thing. So Pete briefly mentioned afters, which is this thing I'm always banging on about. Like, nobody wants what you do. They want why they're better off after it. So with respect to marketing people, they're wonderful people, but I don't want them. After them, I want really good leads. Yeah. If I go and see a lawyer, I don't want her, but after seeing her, I don't want to go to jail. If I see a personal trainer, I don't want the personal trainer, but after seeing the personal trainer, I want to lose a couple of stone beats so I'm bikini body ready or something. I haven't thought this analogy through. You know what I'm saying, right? It's all about the afters. It's all about the outcomes.
Jump in with the question that I have around that? And again, I said there's a little bit of a challenge
it's the
here.
body body thing. What are you possibly going to ask?
Well, how do you get the bikini body first? Yeah,
naturally blessed. Okay, next question.
The afters is essential, right? That is what people are after. Like, don't want to go to jail. Mm-hmm. But what part does like trust and relationship have in this as well? Because someone can give you the after, but if they are, you don't get that feeling of trust and
I know what you mean
for the sale. Then what's the?
So when people are buying, I mean, you can complicate this or simplify it as much as you like at a very basic, core, simple level. The two things that buyers want are afters and certainty. So the afters, they want to be in a better place in the future, so don't want to go to jail. And they want certainty that that particular lawyer will keep them out of jail. Yeah. Or if I'm talking to a marketing agency, the afters I want are more leads and I want certainty that they're going to provide them. And there's partly to do with trusting them and so on, but it's also to do with their track record and hearing successes of what they've done elsewhere and maybe awards they've won and having someone I trust who recommends them and all that sort of stuff. So any customer wants afters and certainty. So you're right. It's not simply a case of I'll say to somebody, I can help you sell more. And they go, brilliant. Where do I sign? If I say I can help you sell more, they're going to say, prove it, which is fair enough, right? But they're the two things that ultimately people want, afters and certainty. If either of those are missing, you either won't make the sale or you won't make a happy sale and they'll start kicking off about price and so on.
Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting take on the certainty side as well, because I think a lot of this comes across in the marketing too. And what you just said there then, Andy, is that I feel that as a business owner, I want more sales. And I'm siding with Andy here and we're going, yeah, we're using a marketing team to generate leads. But what Peter's saying is from the marketing angle, is that, look, we can only do this unless we really synergize and come together as a team. It's not one, okay, just because I'm spending 10 grand, 15, 20 grand a month on some marketing, that it's going to generate something. We've got to take some ownership as well and look in the mirror and work together.
Yeah, so, as Pete says, though, it's being clear what the outcomes is. I use the example of a lawyer deliberately because a while ago I was speaking to my lawyer about something. And lawyers are all wonderful people, but this lawyer was talking a lot about law, and I was getting a touch bored. And he could tell from my face I was getting a touch bored. My poker face is not very good when I'm getting bored. And he stopped in his tracks and said, "What's your end game here, Andy?" Mm-hmm. That's my word for afters. What's your end game? I said, the afters are, I want to achieve this, and I don't want any comeback on me. And he goes, right, now I'll tell you how to get there. Yes. And I just thought, even when you're briefing a lawyer, you don't say, I want your legal skill. You say, this is the afters. This is the end game I want. If I was partnering with Pete, I would say, this is what I'm looking to achieve. Can your organization help me do it? When I work with your wonderful firm, Lewis, I'm going to say, this is what I'm looking to achieve. So it's our job not to say to marketing people, I want creative, which is red or blue in color. That's the deliverables. They can work all that clever stuff out themselves. I want to say the end game I want is I need twice the number of leads coming through the door, particularly in these three sectors. This is how I measure success. This is what it's worth to me. So it's the conversation, not just from us, has got to be about afters, but when we pitch to people to help us, we have to tell them the end game or the afters we want as well.
Yeah. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the show so far and you're getting a lot of value from it. Look, we do this for free because it's our vision to help more businesses and their teams scale and actually achieve what they went into business and their career for. So these raw boardroom style conversations deliver the real data on what works and what doesn't, saving you time, money, and most of all, making sure that you don't miss on these opportunities that could really help you scale. Sharing it with people you know really, really supports us on these podcast platforms so we can achieve our vision. So if you have a like-minded friend, colleague, or business owner that could get value from this, thank you for sharing it with them. You know who you are, and greatest respect for everybody that's doing that so far. And if you haven't, then please support us. Let's get back to the show.
And Lewis, I'd add one thing to that as well. Every market has a specific trading volume. So I'll give you an example. I've got one client that's in construction. Now they can say they want more leads to the sort of cows come home. But when the sectors that they're doing aren't currently trading very highly due to certain economic conditions, saying I want more leads ain't going to bloody happen.
Yeah.
So you need to then start looking at other verticals.
Other
because
verticals.
every vertical has a limit, whichever way you look at it, and is understanding your market. And a lot of people are not understanding the market, not understanding the quoting cycle, the buying cycle, and are playing on a very old playbook. And the reality is, across the majority of the clients I work with on the coaching side now,
Yeah.
what we're seeing is we've got the biggest quote value we've ever had. I mean, they're insane quote values. They're not losing the work.
Is that quote value or revenue value? Is it converted?
Quote value.
Right.
Quote.
Okay. Why is that?
Because they're not losing the work. The orders are not being placed yet.
Go on, tell us more. Then what? Give us.
No, it's because a lot of people are not in a position to place orders. Whether there is delays in perhaps less in construction, there's a lot of delays in the scheme, especially with the whole Health and Safety at Work Act and all of that stuff. It's making it quite difficult to move things forward at a pace that maybe we've been used to or whatever. And therefore, sometimes the strategy needs to change where we've got our traditional markets, but which other markets can we work in where actually things are moving a lot faster? And that's the whole thing around the strategy is you've got to look, understand your customer, understand the buying cycle, and then say, okay, this is what we've got here. Do we need to innovate? Do we need to bring new things to the marketplace that we can shift at the place because the way people are spending money has changed? Yeah. And we're seeing that a lot right now. We are seeing that a lot. And actually to say, okay, well, let's get more of the same so we can get more quotes that are not converting because people aren't already placed the order, is suicide. You're going to run out of money and go bust.
Mm-hmm. And that's where Andy comes in, right?
Well, Andy will probably say to them, we can do.
Well, hopefully, but he said there's got to be someone who's going to buy it. I mean, Alan Weiss, the amazing American consultant guy, says that if you want to succeed in business, you need three things. Number one, there's a market need for what you do. And the other two are you need skills for it and you need passion for it. And he said, if any of those three are missing, it's not going to work. So if there's no market need, you're buggered anyway. So as Pete says, if there's no market need, you can do what you like. Not going to work. For some reason, like we've got one of these Nespresso coffee things. I mean, other coffee machines are available. And I don't know why, but when I've had a long day at work, I quite like putting the Nespresso pods into the Nespresso pod machine. Why am I even saying this out loud? I've no idea. Anyway, yeah. So, and the children go, oh, look at Daddy's like a simple old man, just like putting the Nespresso pods in. And if there was a market need for that, I'd be a multimillionaire. But nobody will give me money for it. So just because I have unbridled skills and unbridled passion for it doesn't mean it's going to work. So, yes, there are ways you can maximize your chance of making the sale. But if there's no chance of making the sale because people don't want it or can't afford it or whatever, well, that's a totally different thing.
What about the passion part, mate? Let's say the other two variables are there. What about the passion side? Tell us about that.
Well, if you don't, I mean, you'll know more about this than me with your coaching excellence and so on. But basically, what Mr. Weiss is saying is, if you don't have passion for something, then it becomes an unsustainable thing because after a bit, you just can't be bothered anymore. You know, you need the energy. This stuff's hard work, right? So it's hard work, and you have to have something that fuels you in the morning. And so if you've got passion, it's much more like if you haven't got passion for being on your own, you're probably better off just getting an employed job where you just sort of rock up and you don't need extra passion because the work sort of guides itself, if you like. I'm not saying I would do my job for nothing, but it's pretty much my main hobby, my job. I totally love it. I mean, we've worked together, right? You know that I wake up thinking about you in a friendly way, Lewis.
Yeah, I get the messages, yeah. Good morning, mate. Love you. Yeah,
that's right. That's specially for you. So that's like a proper passion. So you don't really feel that you put in the working as far as work because you just like really enjoy it, right? Yeah. So I love this idea. There has to be something there. You have to be good at it and you have to want to do it. And if any of those three are missing, it's probably not sustainable.
Well, the thing is, mate, is that there's ups and downs. You know, I'll call it the waves in business, a bit like the sea coming in the ocean. There's going to be some big waves and there's going to be some little waves. But if you learn to ride the waves and grab your surfboard ready, you can be proactive when these big waves come. But sometimes there's ups and downs, you know, and we do have to take the downs as well. If you're not passionate, you're not resilient, then it's easy to get beaten by these waves. So I really resonate with that quite a lot. Pete?
And I would say that's the biggest danger right now we face in the UK. Is, look, let's face it, we've had 5 years of a very poor economy, poor leadership. I mean, 5 years has just been a terrible travesty. And what you're finding is people are losing their passion because they're losing their hope. Well, as soon as they lose that passion,
Oh.
if they're not careful, that's going to kill them.
Mm.
And this is the thing. And no one wants to listen. Nobody ever wants to buy from a mood-hoover. No one ever. I mean, you come in on like Eeyore. Who's going to buy from you? And a lot of people, unfortunately, today, and probably Andy, there's going to be some seminars you can do on how not to be an Eeyore, because I think that's going to be a big thing right now. There's a lot of people are depressed donkeys, and you just want to slit your wrists after the sales call as a customer.
There's a really nice little model that I've seen people. There's people who do our jobs love their 2x2 matrices, right? And there's one that says our views about ourselves and our views about the customer. Do we think we're okay or not? Do we think the customer's okay or not? And a lot of salespeople think the customer's okay, but they can feel a bit cowed by the customer. So the customer's fine. It's just I don't feel quite worthy. So salespeople like that become too deferential, and they go, "Thank you for sparing the time to see me, and here's some slides you haven't asked for." And yes, certainly there are 5 actions. I'll take all 5. So customers don't want salespeople to be deferential. They want somebody to be useful. So, like, what's the point I'm making here? Well, tying in with what you're just saying here, Pete, is a lot of people have gone into the quadrant where we think that we're not okay, but now we think the customer's not okay either. The mood-hoover, the Eeyore. In the actual matrix, the words that go in that quadrant are called "we're screwed." You just go in and talk about how hard things are. Now, clearly, what everyone wants is to be in this matrix top right, which is we think we're okay, and we also think the customer's okay as well. So we are value-adding equals. So instead of "thank you for your time," it's "I've been looking forward to our meeting today." If someone says the market's hard at the minute, you go, "Yes, it is, but there are some new things that are working. Can we talk about them?" And all this positivity, people respond well to that, right?
Yeah, they do.
And we need that.
By the way, sorry, Pete. As an investor, I get a lot of people messaging me on LinkedIn saying, "Lewis, there's this great new opportunity," and I get on a call with them just to play devil's advocate to this conversation, just to mix it up a little bit. And they will be super, super passionate about their new idea. And they'll be talking about all these pitch decks, and they've put so much hard work in. They're really passionate. And I've got to be honest, guys, I have to put my commercial hat on then. This is now my money that you are asking for, 10, 100, £500,000. And your passion, as passionate as you are about this, I can't see an ROI on. I mean, you see it on Dragon's Den all the time, don't you? The really passionate people. So I do think it has to have the bubbles in balance, shall we say? Yeah. But yeah, if there's no passion there, you get it, Pete. It's straight away that I think there's like this energy is contagious, right? And if you've got no energy, then I've got no energy, and I've got no energy. My bank account has no energy.
That's true.
Yeah, but as you say, energy alone is not enough. There has to be a market need, and you have to be good at it. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, look, you know what they say: a passion that you can't monetize is just a hobby.
Yeah, like my Nespresso pods. I love it.
Right, guys. So just to wrap it up, then we started marketing versus sales, marketing and sales. How to synergize departments for more sales fast. Andy, if you was to give us your biggest tips on how to get more sales fast and synergize marketing and sales, what would it be to the listeners?
Tip number 1, speak more often, sales and marketing together. Be really clear what the handover is going to be. So be clear exactly what sales want from marketing, what marketing is prepared to give to sales. There'll be a Venn diagram. You need to get the intersection right. So that's the first thing. Second thing, make sure you're aligned on your key messages. And remember that any customer at all is going to want afters and certainty. So if you start off salespeople with saying, we were founded in 1922 and here's a map of all our offices, nobody cares, right? So marketing know a lot about messaging. So pick their brains, right? Salespeople know a lot about influencing and persuasion and objection handling. So marketing, pick their brains. So make sure that you are communicating, make sure you are aligned and you sound like you're the same company, and make sure you use each other's strengths, because you do have strengths. So learn from each other. Very good.
Very good. Andy, before we go on to Pete, what about behaviour of a salesperson? The behaviour, is it true salesmanship? When I worked with you before, you mentioned it's like an art. Understand it. You got the logic of here's what you do. Here's the scripts. Practice your script. Drill it. You remember you got me walking around Tesco's car park saying it to myself 1,000 times, right? Yeah. Remember that one. But what about the behavior? Is the salesmanship behavior in 2025 where it needs to be from what you're seeing?
Not really. And as Pete said before, you could have got away with that once, but you can't now because everyone's so well informed. You really need to understand your offering. You need to understand your offering in the context of everybody else's offering. You're not just competing with your competitors, you're competing with other things they can spend the money on. So if I'm working with an owner-manager of a business, the money they give me means they might not be able to take their children to Disneyland this year. Well, that's a pretty severe competitor. So you have to make sure you're properly knowledgeable. I mean, there are certain attributes you want all salespeople to have. So number one, optimism, because you have to keep going again. Number two, proactivity, because you need to be able to self-start if you work in sales. Number three, solution finding, because there's loads of things that can get in the way. Number four, an afters obsession. If you are a salesperson who just wants to hit their number and doesn't give a toss about the customer, I hate that. I don't even want to work with people. I qualify people out who are only interested in hitting their number. The thing I want is passionate desire to improve your customer's condition. And if you've got that and you're optimistic and you're a self-starter and you're going to do the hard work, then absolutely we can maybe work together. So I always find these things interesting because when you speak to salespeople, often it is talking about themselves or their products or their commission. And so, no, it's not that. It's about providing this astronomical value for the customer. I mean, put very simply, Lewis, the way I think about sales is two circles, a big one and a small one. What's going to happen is you're going to hopefully make the sale, which will mean you'll get some money coming in. I think we call that revenue, and that's quite a small circle. Yeah. The customer is going to get lots of afters, which is a very big circle, and it has to be a lot bigger than the money they pay you. So when salespeople think it's all about the sales and getting the money over the line, they're focusing on the wrong circle. Your job is to be an afters causing thing, right? Find the afters the customer wants, give them absolute certainty they can get there. And if you do something that's worth 5 million to them, they're probably not going to argue about your price of 20 grand. Probably.
Yeah. And the reason they're giving, they're taking my services on, mentorbusiness.com service on, and the mentors on their Peter service and Andy Bounds service is because if they do that and invest with us, then they can take their kids to Disneyland. Very good, Andy. Thanks for that. Peter, over to you, mate. Marketing versus sales, marketing and sales. Correct.
Yeah, look, I agree with everything that Andy said up to now. The one thing I would say is no matter what your channel is, so depending on what your distribution channel is for your marketing message, you need to make sure that you're seen. So if you're using email marketing, you need to make sure you've got a good open rate. You're not going into the spam. If you're on LinkedIn, it's about making sure that actually people are seeing what you're posting. You're not just doing guilt marketing where you're doing shit because you believe you have to and it doesn't generate anything. So you really got to understand your channel really well and how to maximize the channel. Otherwise, you can be everywhere and nowhere. And no matter how good your messaging is, if you're everywhere and nowhere, you ain't got no customers coming through, you ain't going to have no leads, you're going bust.
Very good, gentlemen. Listeners, have you enjoyed the podcast? Let's hear your comments. Put them in the comments below on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you may be watching or listening. Let us know what you think of these mentorbusiness.com mentors that you've met today. And if you'd like to hear anything more, have any other questions for them, speak to us. Reach out to us. We want to hear from you because, as Andy said, we are here to make sure that you get the afters that you need. And they've spent their time today to do that. I hope you enjoyed the show.